Welcome to the Creators Initiative podcast, where we have a raw and authentic conversation about creating media our way on our terms. I am your host, DP, editor, entrepreneur, and unintentional part-time content creator, Leia Lowe. And what are we talking about? Because this is what it looks like when I batch record episodes. I'm like, wait, what was I talking about? I'm clearly still on Canva. So before you weld, here we go. I know what we're talking about. Before you weld the power of your brand on social media, you have to first build a consistent and cohesive brand. And in today's podcast episode, I am going to explain while giving you the psychology behind what makes a brand powerful. So let's get into it. Consistency builds trust and recognition. So consistent branding across social media platforms helps establish a recognizable identity. This includes uniformity in visual elements like logos, colors, and fonts, tone of voice, and messaging. Consistency reinforces your brand's image and makes it easier for your audience to remember and trust you. So, of course, let's talk about the psychology behind that, because it's very, very important. It's why we do what we do, okay? Why, Steak and Shake back in the day, if you still eat it, Steak and Shake has red walls because apparently it makes you hungry or it makes you eat more, which means they'll make more money because you pay for more food. It's math. Okay, anyway, so the psychology behind the consistency builds trust and recognition is, number one, cognitive ease. When visual elements and messaging are uniformed, it reduces the cognitive load for consumers. They don't have to work hard to recognize or understand the brand, making their experience smoother and more enjoyable. And then number two is trust and credibility. Consistency signals reliability. When consumers see the same branding elements across platforms, it builds trust. They perceive the brand as more professional and credible, which encourages engagement and loyalty. So let me put it in layman's terms. Okay? When you have an established brand identity, it helps strangers remember you and the product or service you sell, as well as building trust. So I am still, and I think I talked about it a little bit in the episode, the Canva episode. I touched on it a little bit, but I am currently still in the process of figuring out my brandability to the best of my limited abilities. But I'm so excited about it, so I keep talking about it. We're actually gonna hang out tomorrow and do some brainstorming. It's gonna be freaking awesome. But anyway, I'm connected with a graphic designer now and a web developer who's gonna improve on what I created for my business and brands, since he's an expert in this space. So I think it's imperative. Actually, I don't even think I know it's imperative, but hey, it's my opinion. Do what you want to do, right? Because this is what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, what I'm telling you on this podcast is stuff that I'm doing right now actively. So I think it's imperative. That's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to move. That's how I'm going to grow. Take that as you will. Do with that information what you will, because you're grown, okay? But it's imperative I get tongue-tied here. It's imperative that once you figure out what problems you solve with your product or service, I want to say that smoother because I might use this in a soundbite later, okay? It is imperative. Let me stop. Okay, let me stop. Hold on, let me focus. I got this. Okay. It is imperative that it's because I know I want to use this as a clip. Hold on. It is imperative that once you figure out what problems you solve with your product or service, hire a professional to dial in your branding so you can attract your ideal customer or client. Let me go down a rabbit hole, but not really down a rabbit hole, but just a little bit, okay? Listen, you don't have to worry about this right now, especially when you're just starting out. I feel like I dropped a disclaimer here at the end of all this because I have an outline that I need to follow, but I'm gonna reiterate this because I think it needs to be said. You don't have to start out here. You don't have to get this immediately when you start. Like this is trial and error. This is growing with your business. This is being introduced to new information that changes your outlook. That just like, oh, I never knew that. I never thought about it that way. Right? It's enlightenment. Okay, so where I am in my business calls for me to invest in professionals because I put in the time, I've failed, I've learned from that failure, I've gotten better, and I can maintain relationships. I can, yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say here is that if I was to try to grow my brand or reach out to a professional when I started my business in year 2, it wouldn't have been a good call. It wouldn't have been smart because I didn't know who I served, what problem I solved. At that time, I think year 2, I was weddings. I think I was doing weddings, and I realized I hated weddings. So there's that. So yeah. I feel like I'm gonna go in deeper detail. So let me just stick to my outline because I do that. I go down a rabbit hole. So let me just let your girl stick to her outline and then get back to this point. Okay. So of course, rather than just telling you you need to, invest in a professional, let me tell you what professionals to invest in and what they do so that when you get to that point in your business, because you're going to know this is what you need to be looking for. So these are not in any particular order because like I said, it just depends on where you are in your business, and you're going to know once you get to different levels of your business who you need to be reaching out to, who you need to be investing in. So I'll give you an example of my job and where I'm at, or my business where I'm at, but let me just go through the list here so you can get an idea. So first one is brand strategist. A brand strategist helps define your brand's purpose, values, and positioning in the market, and they focus on the overall strategy and long-term vision. Then there's a graphic designer. A graphic designer will create the visual elements of your brand, such as logos, color schemes, that daggum word gets a sister every single time. Type-off, forget it. You know what I mean? It's on the board. It's on there, okay? It's somewhere in this video, wherever I place it, okay? I think I'm gonna probably put it over here, okay? Typography or typography, whatever. And any other graphic asset. Look for somebody with experience in branding. Then there's a copywriter/brand writer. This professional will develop your brand's voice and messaging, ensuring it resonates with your target audience across all platforms. Then there's a marketing specialist. A marketing expert can help ensure your brand identity aligns with your marketing strategy and understand market trends, audience behavior, competitive analysis, lookalike audiences, and stuff like that. Look, I know about that stuff, but it overwhelms me. So I'll let somebody else handle that. Especially lookalike. Like, it's simple, but at the same time, it's just like, I just don't want to fool with that. There's so much other stuff that I want to be, messing around with, and that's not it. Even though obviously marketing is very vital to your business, I'll just get somebody to do it. I got the money, handle it. And then there's UX and UI designer. If your brand has a digital presence, a user experience UX or user interface UI designer can help ensure that your branding translates well into digital platforms. So let's think about this way. Actually, I'm going to go back to it. I'm not going to go off, but I'm going to talk about, hold on. Okay, I'm going to stick to the topic. Brand consultant. An external consultant can provide an unbiased perspective and guide you through the branding process, helping you refine your identity and strategy. And the social media manager, which I think like everybody knows about and heard about, they can assist in applying your brand identity consistently across social media platforms and ensuring that the messaging aligns with your overall strategy. Okay, so for instance, in my business, I'm in need of a graphic designer. And I will say this, I'll make this caveat. There's no right decision. We're all different. We're all in different, in different phases, positions. I really don't know what the word I want to say, but we're in different cycles. I feel like I felt it. I feel like I knew what the word it is. We're in different, whatever it is in our business. I think you know what I'm saying. We're in different levels. Let's just say that we're in different levels in our business, and therefore, how do I say this? Let me try to find the words here. Here we go. We're in different phases in our businesses, and there's not a wrong or right answer. The only, wrong thing to do would be to do nothing at all. To spend all this time trying to make the right decision, the perfect decision, sometimes the decision to make sense instead of just making a decision. And so I was like, all right, this is just personal experience that happened this summer, and I might have talked about it in a previous podcast episode. If I did, that's great. If I didn't, I'm talking about it again. because it really was a huge lesson for me to learn, and a valuable lesson to learn. It sucked, it was painful, it hurt, but it still was a good lesson for me to learn. So I lost a client in summer, July. Yeah, it was a big client. It was a big job that I had the previous year, and I was just banking pretty much on having it again this year. But here's the funny thing: my idea with this client or in this job was to have less days. So let me try to give a little bit of, because I didn't sign an NDA or anything like that, but let me just give like a little bit of context of what I'm talking about. So the job was 8 days. It was 8 days at an event. And here's the thing. I'm not an events photographer or events videographer. My whole purpose is to gather assets that can be used in perpetuity. Yeah, it sounds fancy because it is. Because event photography and videography typically is this idea of just, we need video and photo now to share the experience, to share what people are missing out on, and encourage them to come next year. And that's it. If we encourage them to come next year, we want people to have a good experience now by having, a photo booth that they can download and share and hashtag and all that stuff. Whereas my whole purpose is that I'm trying to gather these different emotionally charged, epic, heroic photos throughout these different events, these different days that can be used in, newsletters, that can be used on the website, that can be used on print, because I actually see my photos on books that they were using at the event, because they I don't think they sell them, but they give them it's like a curriculum or whatever. And I saw photos that I took at a previous event that was used on the book. So it's like, my photos are used everywhere. They're not used just to recap the week. They're meant to be used in perpetuity and also just used everywhere. It's an asset. This company was investing in assets. And so that's what I brought to the table. I wasn't a, photo booth, come over here and I'm going to drop you a link so you can load your photo later so you can put it on your wall. That's not what my job was. And I say that to say that's what this specific department thought my job was. I would even dare say that my website probably led them to believe that's what I did. That's what I was all about when I wasn't. And so when the company was having to cut back on expenses, they had to go look into hiring another photographer, hiring another videographer, or seeing ways that I could, decrease my price with still being there for 8 days or whatever. And so once they went with another photographer, another videographer, of course, questions were raised. Why did I charge so much? Why was I so expensive? Here's the thing. No one ever said that to my face. I wish they did, but they didn't, because we can explain it. It was just what I heard from other people is that this person charged half the price that Leia was charging and provided more value. And I'm not gonna lie, that hurt. That hurt a lot, because it was like, if we had a conversation, if we sat down, you would understand that I'm not a glorified, well, see, that sounds like shade, but seriously, I'm not a glorified events photographer. I am I forgot the title that we had for it. But I'm a brand, that's what it was. I'm a brand photographer in that instance. The experience was so bad that I'm just like, I don't think I'll ever do photography again. I'll never do branding photography again. We're sticking to filmmaking because I love it. I'm passionate about it. Commercial cinematography and all that stuff, and be on sets. I don't think I want to fool with photography ever again. I say that now. I probably will change my mind, but just because I was really hurt, reasonably, not like I'm mad and I'm gonna take it out on everybody and act like I don't have no sense and not act like a professional. No, but still, I was hurt on just a personal level, because I was like, we had this conversation, you would understand that I'm not an events photographer. Because when I did sit with them and they needed me to come down for a day, it was, can you do photos and like drop them to, give them people who have a photo booth? And I'm like, that's not what I do. And all I could think of after that months later is like how important my website was. And I'm not even showing up on social media or having really an Instagram page or anything like that. I was just thinking how important it was for my website to not seem like that's what I do. I'm just an events photographer. I'm just an events videographer, right? And so I'm letting you guys in on this insight, letting you know how important it is, how I went back to drawing board and how I was like, okay, this year, I don't know if it's going to be in the middle, towards the end of the year and next year, I'm going to invest in a graphic designer and a web developer because it's so important. And I'm going to work on getting behind the scenes photos of me doing my job, doing stuff that I actually love and stuff that I'm really good at. That is, that is effective communication through visual storytelling. I'm going to get those shots so that I can build up this website and attract the clients that I want, so that when you go to my website, there's no question, there's no misunderstanding that why I charged you this much and why I do what it is that I do. It's clear. It's clear. It's a clear distinction between the person that they hired over me versus me because of my website alone. And then I'm working also too with the branding across social media, right? But that's what I'm saying. It is so important. And that's why I'm going down this direction rather than, okay, maybe I should invest in a brand strategist. Maybe I should, look into a brand consultant. Like, no, it's important that that website attracts the customers and clients that I want and repels the ones I don't. Makes it clear so that when they do have something negative to say that they did at that event, people can go to my website and be like, well, I don't know why you're confused. Clearly, this is the type of work that she provides and it's high quality. You get what you pay for. And so that was important to me, and that's why I'm working now to get that done. And I'm so thankful that I came across somebody that doesn't and wants to barter. And, I love practice. I love practice. So I get to just practice and do some really nice, like, cool cinematic and storytelling things with him to grow his brand, to grow his business. So that's why I'm going this route, why I'm making this decision, because I know with my experience and my knowledge that this is the next step to grow and to scale, is the website, is the graphic designer for me. So he's a graphic designer as well as a UI designer. He's not a UX because I don't have an app. I don't have anything like that. I don't sell any merch. I don't sell any LUTs or any presets or anything like that. I just need a website that will fit on a 35-inch curved screen or iPad or a MacBook, like all that stuff, like, and it's fluid, like all the things. It's just super professional. And that's why I'm looking at a graphic designer and who's also a UI designer. And then I can think of, like, when your brand is, about to touch $1 million or something like that, that's probably when you need to reach out to a brand consultant. I'm just kidding. They probably should look out to one before then. Or maybe if you already have, then you go back and you get another opinion. Because I feel like there was a video that Nick Bear did when he did a behind the scenes with his business where they, reach out to a brand consultant to kind of like better improve the BPN branding, which is already top tier. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to look at a brand consultant until you're pretty much making good money and you're like, hey, I want to improve this, right? So yeah. And then of course, social media managers, marketing specialists, copywriter, design. You're going to know where you are in your business when you need to reach out to these people. But here's the disclaimer. I think I talked about it a little bit before, but I was trying not to get off into a tangent. I still did. It is what it is because I hope this information is good and it's helpful. But disclaimer, you do not have to, nor should you invest in this type of stuff unless you are making money. I'm not saying breaking even. I mean making money because it's possible. Look at my website right now. Despite my jank website, if we're being honest, compared to what it needs to be, and I'm gonna show up what my website looks like versus what someone in my industry's website looks like that I'm like striving to be, right? That I'm striving, like I can do the same work as him, right? I'll show it here beside me or whatever, or just on the screen. I still am full-time with my little jank website and my finite abilities as not even a graphic designer. I don't know what the heck I am, but I'm not that. I'm still full-time. I'm still making money, right? But where I want to be here in the next 6 months is retainer clients, clients that align with my values, clients that take communications and effective messaging seriously and not, I don't know what the heck else, I just want a recap video. I just want a 60-second recap video to put on Snapchat. I don't know, I'm just making that up, but you know what I'm saying. I don't want that. I don't want to work with that client anymore because they're all focused on price rather than value and how they can get a return on their investment. And that's no shade to them or anything like that. That's just not where they are. And that's okay. There's somebody for them. There's a videographer for them. I'm not a videographer. I am a cinematographer. So those are the people that I want to work with. But I want to give you confidence or help you not, hit a wall and just think this is impossible. Like, I'm full-time and my website looks like that. I'm full-time and I don't even really know who I serve, I just now really figured it out and sat down and like, this is what I want to work with. This is what I want to work on. Like, there's so much imperfection, yet here I am on a Friday afternoon just because this is the only time that I could come in here and get this done. To come in here and film this. I could do this because I'm full-time. I make my own schedule, do what I want. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, and my website is not where it needs to be. But here's the thing. I'm not staying there. I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to sit here and think like, oh, I made it. I'm good. Like, I can coast. Like, no, we need to improve this and we need to get better. We need to scale. We need to grow. And so, yeah, just some encouragement there that you still can get far with really not knowing what you're doing, figuring out as you go, failing and learning from your mistakes. But you still got to get better and grow and learn from those mistakes. So there's that. I hope that was encouraging and I didn't go down a rabbit hole and just go all around the point and nothing made sense, okay? So let's talk about engagement and relationship building. So effective branding is not just about a logo or color scheme, but also about creating a narrative and engaging with your audience. A strong brand voice helps in building emotional connections and encourages interactions, turning followers into loyal customers. So, of course, let's talk about the psychology behind all that. So there's consistency and trust. A strong, consistent brand voice builds trust. Consumers feel more secure in their choices when they perceive a brand as authentic and reliable, which encourages ongoing interaction and loyalty. And the second one is reciprocity principle. When brands provide valuable content or positive experiences, consumers, others, good Lord, let me just start that over. My gosh, hold on. I got this. I just need water. The reciprocity principle. When brands provide valuable content or positive experiences, consumers often feel compelled to give back through loyalty, purchases, and advocacy. So when you write a blog post, create a newsletter, produce a podcast, or share long-form content on YouTube, that solves a problem for free. You're building trust and reciprocity. I feel like it's common sense, but some people just like, I don't know. I think maybe if you're anything like me, you just overthink things and it's like, it can't be that simple. I'm letting you know, it really is that simple. And here's the thing, be genuine about it too. People don't know you're fake and you're just trying to sell your course. Like, somebody told me to do this for free so that you end up paying my big price. People really can see through that. So, I mean, check your heart, babe. Check your heart before you create stuff for free and not because, it's going to pay off and all that stuff. I mean, do you? People still going to buy it anyway. I mean, there's a brand that I personally don't like the guy who owns it, but hey, the products that he makes really help and solve my problem, so I buy them anyway. Even though today I got a product from him and it didn't feel like it changed anything, but I didn't spend that much money, so I'm not gonna make a big deal about it. But still, like, he's a perfect example. Actually, a shirt I was wearing earlier today, I can't stand the guy, but I like what the shirt was made out of, the material and how it looks on me, especially, and it covers my butt in the gym. So I buy his stuff, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you don't have to be a good person and be nice, but if you but yeah, it's a bonus if you're a good person and it translates through the camera and we see that, we know that, and then you also sell something. Like, you give stuff for free and you also sell stuff. So it is what it is. I felt like I went down a rabbit hole that was just completely unnecessary, but whatever. It's a podcast. That's what I do. All right, so let me actually talk about a personal story of reciprocity and just how a company has built trust over time with me that I genuinely just will tell anybody that will listen how great my experience is and how they've changed my life, essentially. So AOD, aka Art of Documentary, and Mark Bone, who owns it with somebody else, has provided me with so much free information over the years that I didn't hesitate to purchase a couple of his courses when AOD opened his door. Ooh, I think 2 weeks ago now, because I'm recording this in September of 2024. So yeah, I think like a week ago. I think it was literally last week. I think it closed this past week, and it opened last week. So the way my podcast, let's just look at this, take it in, guys. Though for those who are not watching the podcast, you definitely need to be watching the podcast. But take this all in, like really, just take it in and see how nice and beautiful and aesthetically pleasing it is to the eye. That is thanks to Mark Bone. Truly. I've taken bits and pieces over the internet and over the years, but I think when it all came together and it all started to click was Mark Bone, especially when it came to explaining how to expose for my skin tones and things like that. Freaking Mark Bone, okay? So, yeah, the way my content looks, how nice it is, everybody's complimented my podcast, and I thank you. I truly appreciate it. It means a lot because your girl be in her head about these podcasts, about these how it looks and stuff like that. I'm a little bit too much of a perfectionist, and we're trying to work on it. Obviously, some psychological problems there, and we're working through it. But yeah, I be really in my head, and so it's really nice and very encouraging when I hear that people like it, the setup, and it's beautiful. But thanks, it's really all thanks to Mark Bone. It's free content on YouTube. And so I feel like also too, the fact that I'm a full-time creative can be attributed to Mark Bone, you know, because like my work speaks for itself thanks to his free content and like the newsletters, even the newsletters that he provides in my inbox. And so, I didn't think twice when I invested over $1,400. Yes. I don't know if that's going to shock anybody or it is, but yes, I spent $1,400 on 2 courses from him. You do the math. So yeah, I didn't hesitate. I did not hesitate, and honestly thought it was cheaper than I anticipated. But see, I was prepared. I was prepared to pay whatever money, whatever price that he, because I was like, listen, if I can be full time and doing what it is that I love today with free information from Mark Bone, what will my life look like in the next 6 months with paid information from Mark Bone? You see what I'm saying? So, and there's another free resources that I benefit from on YouTube, which is Tenfold Production. I don't think they sell anything as of right now, or any courses or any like LUTs or anything, but they invest so much time and effort into their videos, into their content, and just giving like on-set advice and behind the scenes, because that's the thing about me. I obviously didn't go to film school. I always make jokes that I graduated from the University of YouTube, top of my class, but I really did. So I'm missing out on a lot of experience being on set, handling RE cameras and things like that. Like I actually have to go out and rent that myself and rent spaces myself and just go in there and practice so that I could be prepared for these jobs that I apply for. And so that is the drawback with not going to college, but I can't afford to go to college because I already went and it did nothing for me. So I would hate to spend another $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 and it's still not work for me. You know what I'm saying? So I love companies or YouTube channels like Tenfold Production that go all in and very just thorough and just providing immense value for free on social media. And it encouraged me to get on here. And even though I am learning about cinematography, like I know a lot that I could help somebody, I'm not as confident about helping people with that as I am helping with people with marketing and advertising and branding and how business works, because I did go to school for that. I did learn that in college. I couldn't get a job in it, but I definitely spent $80,000 for that information. So why not pay it forward? Why not go on here and talk about it? Especially since I'm just really passionate about it. And I see a lot of business owners that I know personally that just don't know what they're getting themselves into, and There's no problem or no issue with them not knowing what they're getting themselves into. It's just there's not a realistic expectation of how hard it is to be an entrepreneur, and that you got to love it. You got to be obsessed with it, but it's definitely well worth it once you get through all the stupid stuff and the first couple years of being in the red and breaking even and all that stuff. Like, it's worth it if that's something that you're passionate about and it's something that you want to do. And so that's why, definitely another reason and other topics that I want to talk about on this podcast and on this YouTube channel that helps give a realistic picture, perception, whatever other term that I want to use about this work, about being an entrepreneur and having to be a creative in this economy or in this day and time where it's just not just a simple $40,000 to start up a business, pay for a billboard and call it a day and you're going to be profitable, you're going to make business. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, but it's worth it. I will be fully transparent. I will not sugarcoat anything, but I will definitely encourage you because, hey, if I didn't have the couple people in my corner, I'll probably still do it because I ain't got a choice. I can't find a job in my field, but still, even if I didn't, I would love to hear some encouraging words, some realistic, like, hey, this stuff is hard. My 9 times out of 10 every other day, this is trash, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So this is what to expect, but there's better days. There's better days at the end of the tunnel, whatever that is. That didn't make sense. That sounded really good before I said it, and now it sounds like it makes no sense, but that's why you stick around. That's why you listen to this podcast. That's why you watch these videos. Because no one knows what Leah's going to talk about. Leah doesn't even know what she's going to talk about. She even called herself Leah when she's trying to call herself Leia, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, let's talk about, last but not least point, differentiation and competitive advantage. This is actually my favorite. This is really important to me. I think I really harbor on this a lot with everything I talk about, but it's how passionate about it I am. So in a crowded market, as you all know, branding helps you stand out from competitors. A well-defined brand identity communicates what makes your business unique and why customers should choose you over others. This differentiation... God, gosh, I can't say it. We're going to do it. And you heard me swallow. I'm so sorry because I need water. It's because I'm really focused on trying to say it right. This differentiation... You know what I'm talking about, can be a major competitive advantage. So let's talk about the psychology, okay? Value proposition. Now, for my entrepreneurs, for those who did go to school for this, or those who are diving in and learning through the University of YouTube, let's talk about that value proposition. This took me back to selling and sales management in college, okay? I remember that day and that class when we were talking about value proposition, the little worksheets and all, okay? Value proposition. A well-defined brand communicates the unique position, their unique value position, okay? By clearly articulating what sets the business apart, it helps consumers understand why they should prefer one brand over another, tapping into their desire for quality and relevance. And just for an example, I can think of, it's just in my personal life. As a basketball player, as a former basketball player, why I always chose Nike over Adidas. I think it was definitely mental for sure. Very subconscious or anything like that. Jordan's Nike, LeBron's Nike, Steph Curry wasn't a big deal when I was playing back in the day. It really was just LeBron and Michael Jordan, Mamba 6, yeah. Is Nike, but I will say this, because I played, by the way, back in the day, it was so serious, you wouldn't go to a school if they weren't sponsored by Nike. It was deep, like, I'm not going to that school if they're not sponsored by Nike. But my high school was sponsored by Adidas, and I wore Adidas. I'm just bringing up this time when I had to wear Adidas once in my basketball career. Terrible, as you can see. They rubbed holes on my pinky toes. Because I never sat down. I only sat down for, I think, 60 seconds. I almost made it a minute. Let's say 58 seconds. And I go back in the game, and it rubbed holes on my pinky toes. And at that point, I was like, this is why Nike's superior. I always felt like Nike was superior in my head, but, like, once I wore that, it was very superior. I don't know if that's a great example, but all I know is that I can think of, like, how people think Nike is superior to Adidas. Apple is superior to Android, or Android is superior to Apple. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's a well-defined brand identity, value proposition to its respective niche. Because you see, obviously, people still buy Androids, people still buy Apple, people still buy Adidas, people still buy Nike. But for their prospective customer that's loyal to them, like me, I'm loyal to Nike. They have done a good job with their value proposition in making them the superior choice over the other. So I hope that made sense. But yeah, that's the best example that I can give, because there's a lot of different like moving parts that go into being the better option, the better reason. But yeah, these brands have done that very well. And so the second piece of psychology to this is cognitive bias. The anchoring effect suggests that consumers are influenced by the first piece of information they encounter. A strong, well-defined brand identity can serve as an anchor, or that anchor, shaping perceptions and influencing future choices. So if the solution, now let me just talk about my business for a second, because that's literally all I've been doing this whole episode, but I think these are great examples, okay? This qualifies me to tell you and give you this advice, right? But if I provide, or if the solutions I provide for startups, nonprofits, and corporations is effective messaging through visual storytelling, but my branding communicates and suggests that I'm just a local events photographer and videographer, that doesn't help me land my ideal client and projects I want to work on. It doesn't help me compete with other cinematographers or stand out amongst them, or even compete myself from event photographers and videographers. That's why I went on the rant earlier today and gave you even more details. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm going through. This is where I had to have a come to Jesus moment this summer, being like, listen, this is not what we're doing. This is not what we're doing. We are separating. We are pulling away from the pack, or at least competing with those who I should be competing with. That is no diss to any videographer. There's no diss to anybody anywhere. It's just, here's the thing, because I've been struggling with it myself, because I just don't understand. There's some people that are just cool with just, creating stuff with their iPhone. Nothing cinematic, nothing fancy, nothing flashy. It gets the job done. I don't want to go through the weeds, and I don't care. I mean, for crying out loud, there's people who watch movies on Tubi and are like entertained by it and like love it and like it, and they're like super low production value, very cheesy. There's a market for that. There's always a market for that. And so when I say that I'm like, I need to compete with these people up here and all this stuff, it's because that's where I care. Like, that's where I want to be. Like, let me give you the example here. If I was a guy, first of all, because women don't make a lot of money in basketball. Hopefully we'll do here in the future. But so that's why I just said, let's say I'm a guy and I get on a basketball team in the NBA, and I ride the bench for years. I never get on the floor. I only get on the floor when it's a blowout game, and I go from team to team to team. But each year I sign a max deal for $500,000 each time. I'm making money. I'm sending it back. I got rental properties, the whole nine. I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that. I'm making my money. I don't get hurt. I get to play exercises, all the ways to, be positive about it, and also say, I played in the NBA. I didn't play in the NBA, but I played in the NBA. You see what I'm saying? But then there's other people that are like, no, I want to be a household name. I want to be sponsored by Nike. I want to have my own Nike signature shoe. I want to be on the billboards of Nike. I want to be on the little, the displays when you go to a Nike store and it's in the window. I want to be that guy. I want to be my face plastered on the little marquees across the Nike store. That's who I want to be. That's what I strive for. And if I don't make it, then it doesn't matter. I don't care that I'm in NBA. I didn't accomplish what I set out to do. And that's how I feel about my filmmaking. That's how I feel about cinematography. That's how I feel as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. I want to be the best of the best. I want to be highly regarded. I don't want to just, I'm a local videographer and I do projects like this. I don't know if it's vain and it's wrong for me to feel that way. Don't really care. All I know is that's my goal. And if I don't reach it, then it means nothing to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, I'm glad I can pay my bills. That's always important. Less stress. I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. But it is my goal. I'm very content. Let me say that. I'm very content where I am and what I'm doing. But it gives me something to do. It gives me something to strive for, and that's where I want to be. So there's no knock to anybody that wants to be, just a videographer, keep it simple. Because let's be honest, being a videographer is less stress, less things to think about. Just shoot things as they're happening. Don't worry about, shadow side, negative feel, all that stuff. But me and the art that I want to create, the message that I want to create, I want to be high level, top tier cinematic. Okay, I don't want to just shoot things, all my stuff in 120 frames per second. We'll talk about that in a future YouTube video. But that's where I'm at. I want to have a signature shoot. So there's my soapbox, and I'll make it off of it. Because you needed that pep talk. I know I did. Okay, I know I did. So before you weld the power of your brand on social media, you have to first build a consistent and cohesive brand. And that isn't going to happen overnight or the next couple of years. But thankfully, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect branding to get started or be profitable, okay? But once you want to scale or scale your business or separate from others, then it's time. Then it's time to take your branding seriously and see how powerful and transformative it. These words today, why did I write this outline like this? I'm setting myself up to fail. Okay, let me try it one more time, okay? But once you want to scale and separate from others, then it's time to take branding seriously and see how powerful and transformative there it is. It can be on social media. Okay? So, like I said, that's where I'm at. I'm not going to give you this advice if that's not what I'm trying to do and that's where I'm trying to be at. I could just be a local videographer, taking in my jobs, freelancing, and calling it a day, but I have big plans for my business. I'm thinking of the next 10, 50 years. I'm thinking of a team that I want to have, a physical location, a studio where people come and shoot, and I shoot, all that stuff. That's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. And I know how to get there. I'm just going to take it one day at a time, and I'm not going to stress about things and just do the best that I can and grow each and every single year. Like, to see where my business was in 2018 versus now here in 2024 is night and day, as it should be, because I've been growing each and every year, learning, applying, getting better. So I hope that's encouragement to you that, you don't have to know it all. It doesn't have to be perfect, because a lot of different elements go into having a brand, and a powerful brand at that, on social media. But you can get far. You can definitely get far alone, but you can get somewhere really alone, but you can go really far once you start investing and getting experts to help you go far. And here's the thing, with time, with effort, with practice, you're going to know who to hire. You're going to know what to do, which makes it even more easier. I'm like speaking from experience, like the stuff that I know now and learn now from experience, stuff that I couldn't even learn in college or in a class, just had to learn it myself, had to learn it from experience, had to learn it from trial and error, has really helped and has encouraged me, and hopefully encourages you that no, I didn't have to know every single thing. I didn't have to know, or have to make a bunch of money or land these big clients. Like, it really started small and it just keeps growing, and it keeps getting bigger, and I just keep getting better, and learning and being able to keep these clients and hold on to them. Because the stupid stuff that I did when I started I would have lost all these contacts and these clients that I have now if I was where I was in 2018 when I first started. And I thought I had an idea just from college and what I learned, but I really had no idea. So like I said, it just comes with going out there, putting yourself out there, practicing, willing to fail, learning from your failures, and just getting better. So yeah, don't think you have to be perfect. Don't think you have to have all the answers, know all the things to do, because it's a lot. It's a lot. But you can just add to it as you go. You're still going to make money. You're still going to be profitable. You just keep growing those profit margins as you get better, as you grow, as your knowledge grows of whatever industry that you're in, whatever business that you start in that you're growing. Like, it's going to make sense. It's going to all click. It's, you're going to be able to outsource. You're going to be able to, not wear all these different hats. It's coming. It's coming. You just got to get through the suck of those first couple of years. Okay. So do what makes sense to you. Just make a decision. Just make a decision. If you don't get no other good advice from me, from this podcast or anything that I share on social media, it's just do it. Nike, I'm just kidding. Just make a decision. Just do it. It might not be the right decision, might not be the perfect decision, but just make a decision. You'll figure it out. Oh, that wasn't a good one. Let's try again. Yeah, I promise you it will not be detrimental where you just won't be able to do anything at all. Just make a decision. Go from there. get better. Walmart. So that's it. That's all I got for you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Creators Initiative podcast. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, share it with a friend, because sharing is caring. And don't forget to rate and like this podcast on whatever platform that you use. Until the next time, my dear friends and entrepreneurs and small business owners and personal brand people and all that jazz, maybe influencers. I don't know who listens to this. I wish you well, and you're doing great. We're doing great. We are the future. We are the world. We are the children. And that's all I got. I love you. Bye.